Management Committee Chair, Mr. Abdulrahman Aldosari, we welcome you to this exciting technical platform webinar titled Diversity and Inclusion in MR&AM. First, I would like to say a few words about GSMR. We are the leading nonprofit organization for maintenance, reliability, and asset management professionals. We welcome all industry leaders into our society where they can enhance and upgrade their skills through trainings and certifications, networking, and publications. We are proud to announce that we are the first society in the Gulf to have the first of its kind homegrown certification called MARC, Maintenance and Asset Reliability Certification. In addition, we are the affiliate for the World Partners in Asset Management, WIAM, and you can take the Certified Asset Management Assessor exam through GSMR. Our moderator for this evening is Ms. Fatima Hussein. Fatima is a senior process engineer at the Technical Services Department of BAPCO, currently working on the hydrocracking and hydrogen production plants. She is the recipient of the WIAM Emerging Professionals Award presented during MainCon 2022. Over to you, Fatima.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ayn. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GSMR's webinar on diversity and inclusion in maintenance, reliability, and asset management. We all know that diversity and inclusion is not only specific to maintenance and reliability. It is a culture that we cultivate in the industry as a whole. Tonight, we will celebrate the winners of the WIAM Empowerment Award, which was presented at MainCon 2022. We will hear their stories and learn how diversity and inclusion are being implemented in various industries and regions. We will also explore how companies empower women and cultivate diversity in the workplace. With us tonight, we have three amazing panelists. The first panelist is Maram Al-Hammad. Maram has over 13 years of experience, starting as a business system analyst, then maintenance system unit supervisor, planning and fleet management superintendent, heavy equipment and transportation superintendent, and most recently, Maram joined the Government Affairs Western Province Department as an acting deputy manager of the Jeddah Area Division. Maram is a leader and a role model in the industry, and this has led her to winning the WIAM Empowerment Award in 2022. Good evening, Maram.
Good evening.
Our second panelist is Nasser Al-Tuqi. Nasser is the Corporate Maintenance and Integrity Manager at Petroleum Development Oman with over 25 years of experience. Nasser has a special interest in developing future leaders. He championed the appointment of many qualified women in key technical roles and is actively promoting and celebrating awareness of workplace equity, diversity, and inclusion culture. These efforts has led him to winning the PDO Delta Leadership Award in 2022. Good evening, Nasser.
Good evening.
Our third panelist is Tahir Abu Juda. Tahir is the Regional General Manager for Field Corps, Middle East and Africa. He has served in a variety of roles in his 18 years career at GE. He currently leads more than 1,300 women and men responsible for generating more than half of the region's electricity. As a champion for women empowerment in the industry, he won the WIAM Women Empowerment Award, which was presented at MainCon 2022. Good evening, Tahir.
Good evening, Fatima, and thank you.
So these are our three panelists. I'd like to remind the audience to feel free to ask your questions to the panelists by typing them in the chat box. Please make sure to mention the name of the panelist that you'd like this question to be addressed to. So let us begin. And let us start with you, Maram. Maram, you have recently won the WIAM Women Empowerment Award. Can you tell us more about what led you to winning it? How did you win it and what you did to empower women in the workplace?
Good evening, Fatma. Thanks to you and the whole team for arranging such amazing webinar. And I am very honored and humbled to be winning such an amazing award. I am so passionate about supporting everybody in my organization, either peers, teams, friends, or family. When I first joined the workforce, I was the first female within my division, and I made myself a promise that I will pave the way for other ladies to work in such industry. I was so passionate about it that I was one of the founders of WIAM committee back when it was established. And due to my load, a lot of load and work, and I moved to a different area within the kingdom, I stepped aside, and I was so happy when I heard about the announcement of the new categories to apply for the award. So I reached out to all of those ladies that I worked side by, asking them to apply their names in different categories, and that made them apply and nominate my name. So six individuals who submitted my names. One is a peer, a male peer, who submitted my name as that female leader who's fair to other females and males and focusing on quality, not only by being a lady supporting other ladies. The other five ladies were three of them direct reporting to me, and all of them now in chief position holders. And one is my close friend and my colleague in the MBA classes where I'm continuing my studies. And I was absolutely happy when they worked together with me to ask for my CV and submit it. And they attended the ceremony, and I owe it to them. And I hope that God helps me to continue doing that to all other ladies within the industry.
That's amazing. Amazing to hear. It's women supporting women, and that you have started with WIAM from the beginning. Thank you, Maram. Tahir, I would like to ask you the same question because you have also won the WIAM Women Empowerment Award. So what had led you to winning it?
Thank you, Fatima. And I'm also definitely honored that I received the WIAM Women Empowerment Award. And I feel very humbled to be part of this webinar. Thank you for having this opportunity. I'll tell you, one of my colleagues nominated me for driving diversity in the culture of Field Corps' Middle East and Africa region, which I have the privilege of leading since middle of 2020. The main reason for the nomination were basically the actions that I have been taking to create a culture where talented female industry professionals always feel empowered to realize their full potential, and in the same time, add a greater value to our customers. I'll tell you, one of the actions that I have been recognized for, specifically to receive this award, was around initiating and supporting the region's first all-female field engineer-led outage in Dammam in Saudi. I'll tell you, this was a proud moment for Saudi Arabia and Field Corps and the larger GE. And it showcased diversity in action. It also turned these women that did the outage into role models for many other female talent in Saudi and beyond. I also have publicly set a personal goal to ensure that more of these female-led outages to be done in the region, not only just all female-led outages, but also having the entire crew made up of females, which basically took place last year in Egypt. In the same way, I also have promised to ensure that female employees continue to get opportunities and respect that they deserve, while also having committed to narrowing the gap between male and female field services employees.
This is amazing to hear. Outages which are completely led by female. I'm sure that has been a fascinating experience, not only to the women who are working there, but it's an eye-opening experience for the industry itself.
It is. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Tahir. Nasser, you have also championed cultivating the culture of diversity and women empowerment in your company. So how has diversity and inclusion impacted your thinking and motivated your advocacy for change?
Oh, very good question, Fatma. And first of all, let me really thank I'm really honored to be here. And I'm sure by end of this 1 hour, I'm going to learn a lot, yeah, on diversity and inclusion, yeah. And it's a journey, and I cannot claim that we know all. We're going to learn a lot as we move forward as an industry. So very good question. For me, I'm so excited about building talent. The key things for me really is about creating and build future leaders. If you look back in 10 years or 20 years ago, having a woman in the field working on a compressor in the for example in Oman in the desert, it was something I would never imagine. Today we have technician, we have supervisor, we have team leads all over the place. Yeah, it's amazing. But for me, when I go back, I go on to really focus on building talent. For me, when including with diversity and inclusion, that's mean creating a big talent pool where you can have a bigger group of a talent pipeline. You can have individuality. So that's mean building that talent. You're going to have a huge group to tap onto it. Yeah. There is a lot of creativity. We've seen some of the example. One of the example, if I can give, is Sukain Al-Kindi, who won one of the awards during the last year conference. She's enhanced problem-solving lead in PDO. You won't believe the kind of investigation she do. She do investigation on HSE, on technical, really core technical subsurface. I mean, the kind of benefits she's bringing into the organization is really huge. So for me, I think that having diversity and inclusion in your organization being a key focus, it creates that huge opportunity for creativity, better decision making, encourage learning in a different aspect. Thank you.
I think absolutely, Nasser. It is building that talent pool that will later on lead to this creativity and overall workplace improvement. Definitely. Now, we do know that diversity and inclusion in general, on that regard, we do face a lot of challenges to integrate diversity in the workplace. And these challenges, what we want to discuss now. And I'll like to direct this question to you, Maram, first. What do you think are the challenges that are being faced in terms of diversity and inclusion in the workplace?
Thank you, Fatma. Let's start by saying that diversity is about representing the representation of the entity. So diversity means that having a range of people with different racial, ethnic, socio-economic, different culture, different point of views, experiences, and interests. So it means having a variety of individuals and point of views represented in a department or a unit or a group. In a nutshell, diversity is a group of people who are different in the same place, where inclusion means it's all about the contribution, presence, and representative of different group of people where are valued and integrated in an environment. All of that, if you have it in a group or in a department, will definitely probably show in some of the communication, where it will be seen and where there will be a difficulty where between the colleagues to be approaching each other. Another challenge will be the cultural misunderstanding, where some might misunderstood a certain phrase or a behavior, or even the way we handle our day-to-day communication. And definitely the culture will play a big role. And furthermore, I would say the discrimination. Discrimination is a huge issue that naturally comes within any diverse team, With that being said, we cannot neglect the importance of having a diverse team where it has been proven by the studies and where you can see the capital cities and the most successful companies always have those diverse team who reach the ultimate and the highest level of being so diverse and having the same page in inclusion. That's all, Fatma. Thank you.
Yes, that is true, Maram, and I do agree with you. It's communication is the main challenge which we might face. I'd like to ask the same question to you, Tahir. So what do you think are the challenges that are being faced on that regard?
So in addition to what Maram shared, I believe that there are several challenges. I'm just going to talk about the top few that I have in my mind. And the first one, I believe, is about leaders and managers at different levels. Those leaders and managers that are not sensitive to diversity, leaders that do not realize that belonging and inclusion ultimately create a healthier and more successful future together with a diverse group of employees. That is a massive challenge. In addition to that, companies that do not recognize the full potential of diversity and inclusiveness on multiple benefits, like I think Nasser talked about problem solving, increased productivity, improved innovative thinking, and most importantly, the opportunity to recruit best-in-class candidates from a much wider talent pool. Now, reality is that the leadership styles that do not support employee dialogue, or that at least do not establish multiple ways for employees to provide feedback, is also another massive challenge. The biggest challenge is around stereotyping, perception, and prejudice. Those three, the stereotyping of certain groups, do take places in many areas of life. That's reality. And it does happen in workplace. So instead of building bridges and understanding each other, sometimes some employees end up by using these stereotypes and justify that not to work with their colleagues. And as a result, we end up by having lots of these challenges to have diversity and inclusiveness in workplace.
Yes, absolutely. It is. I think it is one key issue and challenge that we face. It's stereotyping. But in the future, hopefully, there will be. See, the more we communicate with each other, and as you said, if we have pathways for dialogue, this challenge will be diluted. Moving on to Nasser, actually would like to ask you the same question. So during your career, what do you think, and from your experience, what do you think are the main challenges that are being faced with regards to diversity and inclusion?
It's a very good, very challenging for me to answer after Manar and my colleagues, Tahir talking, these are individuals who have won the award and they've done a lot. When I look to their CV, I'm so impressed, and what you guys have done, and they have said all the right things. But for me, I wanted to focus on the different aspect on diversity and inclusion. The majority of the time, people talk about the demographical variable. We're talking about gender, age, and race. This kind of a variable. Yeah. But I think the psychological part of it is really even more important, which I think many organizations, they don't realize those things. If I give an example, personality, values, and abilities. Yeah. The organization, they don't focus on this kind of variable, but I think in those variable and psychological ones are the ones that really can have a huge benefit on the organization. If I can give one simple example, disability, for example. If you look into statistics, it shows you that majority of disability, they happen during your work career. If you look into the time you spend, almost 30 years at work, That's mean the chances that you're gonna get you're gonna get older. You're gonna be, there's events gonna happen in your life. Does the organization are ready for those changes? Sometimes they don't happen, but I think, there is a lot of other challenges we are facing in the organization when it comes to communication. People think communication is easy because we speak the same language, but it's not really, because of that individuality. People are different. There are people who don't want to voice their voice in public, but there are people who want to do that in more one-to-one kind of way. So both what Maram said and Tahir said really makes sense, because at the end of the day is the leaders really be able to recognize those individuality and really tap on it and help them to make sure that their voice can be heard. That will be my view, Fatima. Thank you.
Thank you, Nasser. I think absolutely it is not just the race, gender, culture, but also the different variabilities. And I think, yes, workplaces will have to be more adaptable to accommodating all these different individuals with different abilities and capabilities. So we have heard about the challenges. Now, before we move on to the solutions, we would like to remind our audience, if you have any questions, please make sure to type them in the chat box and mention which questions, which panelists you would like to answer your question. Now, the companies are working hard to accommodate the different cultures, different diverse abilities, genders in the workplace. And some of them have mandates on that regards. The question for you, Maram, is what are your thoughts on the implementation of diversity and inclusion mandates in different regions and industries, and specifically in your own country and industry?
Well, Fatma, I think it is crucial to implement diversity wherever it's possible. You cannot force it. You need to be patient with it. And there is different ways to have it implemented, although you don't have a certain clear KPI on how to measure it in every group or unit. Yet you can either attract it by having the best of the best talent, or you can organically create it by exposing people to different cultures, religions, races, where it is very important for external and internal growth. Also, it is very important to give opportunities to all competent individuals, no matter what is their where they are coming from. You will definitely see the difference that will show in both personality and their life and in the workplace.
Yes, it's great to hear. So it is, I think one thing that I remembered from your words is exchange programs by sending employees abroad or even to different companies. Let them get exposed to different cultures, work with different cultures, and see how that can open up their mind so that they're not in their own little small circle. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Maram. Tahir, what do you think companies can do to increase inclusiveness for women and other cultures in the workplace?
Fatima, I think companies can do lots of things, but I'm just going to only talk about three specific areas. And the very first thing is similar to what I said a bit earlier about inspiring a culture of inclusion. And I'll tell you, leaders on behalf of the companies, they must instill and nurture a corporate culture where diversity and inclusion is not just the right thing to do, but where it's woven throughout the company's DNA. And diversity and inclusion starts at grassroots with the company's values, with its blueprints, which basically defines the company DNA. And at the very least, it requires a culture and a way of working that fosters an environment where diversity and inclusion are basically the norm. That was the first thing. The second part, in my opinion, is that cultural and diversity inclusion must start at the top. all leaders must show and inspire and foster that inclusive behavior. And to establish and encourage a sense of belonging in the workplace, that requires a strong desire by all leaders in the company at all different levels to build a diverse culture. They must also be convinced in their hearts and minds that hiring people who are open to working with people with all different nationalities, skin colors, genders, cultures, basically what Maram and Nasser were talking about, and amongst many other things, indeed is the right and the winning approach. And the third thing I was going to share is that companies also need to ask for employee feedback. And not only just ask for feedback, but also listen to them. Ask employees feedback on how to improve diversity and inclusion in the workplace. And then remember that asking is not enough, must listen also and take actions. In Field Corps, for example, we do have a listening survey. We do that on an annual basis at least. We engage our employees on different topics. And basically, the main goal is to enhance and get a positive employee experience. And like I was saying, it does not stop at asking. We actually, leaders are assigned, take proactive actions, action plans, take positive actions on the feedback that the employees give to us. And basically giving transparent and ongoing feedback on the progress of these actions, which is vital part from the company's point of view. Last comment I was going to say, companies need to act in such a way that everyone must feel empowered, everyone must feel welcomed, and most importantly, safe and free to be themselves in the workplace.
Absolutely. So must start at the top and ask employees, not only ask, but also listen and act. Great answer, Tahir. Nasser would like to ask you the same question. What do you think companies can do to enhance diversity and inclusion in the workplace?
As Tahir said, there is a lot company can do, yeah, and there is many way, yeah, we can make it work, yeah. I think for me, the first thing really to think about that we are focusing on, on a culture aid, not culture fit. We need to realize the experience, the opportunity we have, especially in the Middle East. Yeah, if you look at the workforce in Middle East, we have hundreds of nationality, different background, and so on. I think this is an opportunity to really, is a unique experience we have as an area in the region to tap on this experience. So I think there is a lot we can benefit out of it, and the organization can really show that by couple of things they can really do. For example, policies related to women, at work, policy on hiring practice, for example. Today, when you interviewing, your interview panelists consist of for different race or background. You are sending a message to the first meeting of that individual who get into this company, that this company is about diversity and inclusion. Yeah. So there is a lot we can do. And then again, I go back to what Tahir said, it's about the leader. Employee get inspired by their leaders. If they see the leaders are really advocate and making sure that, everyone is including, everyone is, can bring something on the table. I think that's a really clear message how we can move the organization and benefit for those opportunities. Because at the end of the day, as we all agree that, D&I is really benefit for the organization going forward. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think I see a common theme here is that leadership must believe in it. And it's from leadership that it all starts. And also first impression counts. When the employee first comes in and see a different panel of interviewers in front of him or her, it does count. All right. Now we do have some questions from the audience. And the first question is something that I would love to hear from you, esteemed panelists. This question comes from Elias. He says, what are your thoughts on gender or race quota in the workplace instead of merit system? So the quota, what do you believe? Is it good? Is it bad? Does it have its pros and cons? Would anyone of our panelists would like to take that up?
I can start, with the different perspective, rather than me talking about the quota. I would really like that the organization really start looking on the opportunity, provide opportunity to people. Numbers they don't tell all the stories. Yeah, you can have a company with the great statistics showing. The board members are, they have a percentage of women and so on, but really is only the board. The board is about 10 or 20 people, for example. But you have an organization of thousands of employees. What about those thousands of employees? So for me, it's not about the quota. It's about really opportunity, giving the fair when we give opportunity to all the employees in a different background, and then. I am sure if your organization is built to give opportunity, we'll be able to see different people getting grow in the organization and get to those right positions. But is one of the data point really to have sometimes those quota where we can see some of these leaders in the top of the organization. But I again, to repeat, for me is about opportunity to everyone rather than the quota. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. You see, it's not about forcing it. It's from the way you see it, it's about getting the right opportunities. And I think we have a similar question from Loic, who says, what are your thoughts on forcing diversity rates on the short term versus the long term? So in terms of changing the culture on the long term. Would anyone would like to answer that?
Fatima, let me take a stab at that. I'm in full agreement with what Nasser was saying earlier. I think if we turn this into a numbers game, then we lose the real spirit of having that diversity and inclusion for the right reasons. The idea is that if we're just looking at percentages and looking at numbers, we're losing the sight of what is it that we're trying to do. Reality is, though, in some cases, and I think Nasser talked about the diverse background of like the interviewing panel or the opportunity, that's very important. Ensuring that we give the opportunities to diverse candidates, if I should say, and that will help increase that diversity in workplace. But just trying to force a percentage, that could end up by hurting the cause instead of helping it further. But the idea is that if we all think that ensuring that we have the proper diverse group at the interview opportunity, if I should say it that way, that will help create that more diverse organization. That's the way I think about it.
Okay, absolutely. It is, again, the same thing. It's giving opportunities to the right people, hiring the right people for the right reasons. We have a question to you, Maram. How would you advocate diversity and inclusion with colleagues who don't understand its importance, or even those who do understand its importance? It's a question from Philippe. We have heard from you is that when you started with WIAM way early on, you wanted to encourage the female colleagues that you have. So how would you advocate for diversity and inclusion within your workplace?
Thank you, Philip, for the question. Well, definitely you have to start the communication. You have to show the picture, the bigger picture. What is the added value? The fact that I am having that discussion is something that needs to be considered as a female sitting with other colleagues. Definitely there is a strategy, but you need to work within the culture. As we know, the culture will eat the strategy for breakfast if we don't change it. So having the communication, showing the benefits, and proving it, and taking the baby steps, and being very patient about doing it. You don't want to force it because you do need the buy-in, you need the empowerment, you need the support from upper management, and you need to have allies all over. Whoever going to be part of this amazing new culture, diverse culture, need to have definitely the end in mind of having the benefit for everybody.
Yes, it is creating these alliances. Again, that would help. It's very important. Thank you, Maram. We have a question from Khalid Ibrahim. Said, great topic. What are the tools that could help companies create a robust culture for diversity and inclusion? So examples of tools. Who would like to take that up?
I'll take it, Fatima. And the way I think of tools is tools, techniques, different ways of doing that. And I'll tell you, when we talk about diversity, we talk about inclusion, we also think about authenticity, having that reflective listening. And we talked about the creating that inclusion culture and truly listening and ensuring that the communication is done with what is the strategy, what is the brand, what is the design, the blueprint. And also, I talked about the employee surveys. That's a great tool because basically you're hearing directly from the employees their voice and then go back and ask them. And ensuring that we do that while integrity is the foundation of doing such thing. The combination of all of that, this is not just a one tool or one set of tools. It does not work by itself. It's a combination of everything that we talked about. But I come back and say, once we have that true reflective listening and truly understanding, because reality is that when we talk about diversity and inclusion, we need to be sympathetic. We need to be empathetic as well, understanding the larger team. We are different in different ways, but we are similar in other ways. Trying to understand each other, seeking to understand, the combination of all of that, I believe, will help.
Absolutely. It is trying to understand, seeking to understand. It's the desire, the personal desire of us to cultivate that. Thank you, Tahir. Would like to acknowledge the presence of Nader Milibari, the board member of GSMR and WPM. So welcome, Nader, with us. It's a pleasure having you with us. Another question from the audience, from Sobeh. What is the hardest part of working in a diverse environment as companies grow in this aspect going further? So what do you think is the hardest part about working in diverse culture? Nasser, would you like to take that up?
Yes, I'll try to do that. I think majority of the company, they think they understand all, and that's where the problem comes. Yeah, and leaders think that they understand the diversity and inclusion. They know all what they need to do to be able to do it, and this is where we go wrong. Yeah, and I think we need to understand this is a culture change. It's not a number game. Yeah, we need to make sure that that as Tahir said earlier about the DNA of the company. Yeah, what really is going to take time. It's going to take time to change. I look back on myself. If you in your beginning of your career, you look at the past 10 years. You think totally different. The solutions we have today is not the solution of tomorrow. So there is a lot of that. When changing a culture does not happen in 1 or 2 years. It's going to take time to happen, and I think it's going to be the company to realize that is not an easy task at hand. Yeah, but it's going to require everyone to get involved, and that will take time to that changes to happen. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Nasser. Looking at the questions, I think we do have one. How does one, this is a question from Philip, how does one can get the entire company, including the leadership team, on board with diversity and inclusion? Now, this is a tough one, and I think I see some of our panelists laughing. I would like to ask Maram, would you be interested in taking that up? What do you think companies can do to cultivate that, including their leadership teams?
I think you need to sit as an example, be that role model, show the benefit, be persistent, be patient. Again, I've maybe probably said patient more than once, but I do believe that changes does need time. And once again, going back to the alliances and the support from your management, it will go through. It will definitely be implemented across all business lines and departments.
Absolutely. Just sitting down, listening. We have a question from Namra. And I think Nasser, have spoken about the different variabilities, it's the different abilities. She has a question based on a personal experience. Her sister is visually impaired, and she's wondering for people with such disabilities, what is, in your opinion, is the best way for them as applicants to communicate their issues to potential employers? So what are your views on that?
I'm not, and to start with, I'm not an expert on this aspect. You know, this is we're sharing here experiences and what we believe can make changes. Yeah, and I am sure, you know, with the right people, she can get the right advice to do. Today, if you can see when COVID started, majority of us, we could not believe that we could work from home. Yeah, and we managed to do that. I think, you know, there is a lot of opportunity for every individual, you know, to be able to present it themselves, to work and to show the skills they have. Everybody can bring something, yeah. So I really think that there is always going to be a way out. As we saw that, you know, company had moved after COVID, they have changed their strategies, you know, and just to work from home had changed everything else, yeah. But I think there is a lot, you know, she can do. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Nasser. It is true. It's getting the right people to get their advice from, and there is opportunities for everybody. And I think speaking from experience with some of my work colleagues, we might say they do have some disabilities. Now, I don't like to call them disabilities because if you look at them in the workplace, you would not even know that they have any sort of disability. It is these individuals who are working really hard and fighting each day to make their voice clear. And there is opportunity for everybody. We have another shout out. Mr. Saad Ibrahim al-Shamrani, the GSMR chair, would have liked to be with us. However, due to some urgent work, he's not with us tonight. However, he conveys his greetings and thanks to all of you panelists and our audience here tonight. We do have a technical question. Now, I'm not sure if anyone would like to take it, but it's a question from Abdul Basit. He says, how can we reduce the friction between production team and maintenance team? Now, I'd like to take that question, and everybody is laughing. I'd like to take that question and say, how can two teams with different opinions or different goals reduce the friction between them? Does anybody have any few tips?
Maybe I can take that. I can start
Yes.
that, yeah, because I work in both in the past, yeah. No, I think this is another thing, you know, is similar to the end goal, yeah. I think many organizations, they don't align very well what the objective and the goals all the way from the top management, all the way to the bottom. If all of us, we understand this, what we're trying to achieve in the organization, we'll reduce that friction. The engagement, Tahir talked earlier about communication. It's not about just because we sat in a meeting and we talked, it means we have communicated. I think it's more of engagement and collaboration, listening to each other, what we can bring together for the best of the organization. I think that's an example of of diversity in what we are bringing and what kind of work we are doing. So if we can bridge that, I think we can do a lot. In the organization where I work in PDO, it is the same story. You have production, you have maintenance, that friction happen, but you have a team leader who bring these two teams together. And we've seen in PDO, in Petrol Development of Oman, we've seen an improvement when it comes to that, to bring the two teams together. So it's all about engagement and making sure that we communicate the two ways, not just one way. Thank you.
Thank you, Nasser. It's about communication. Would anyone like to answer that?
I would definitely add to Nasser by saying engagement, where one of the things that you need to do is to make sure that everybody is aligned. And one thing is taking one leader from here and assigning him there. You can create workshops. You can do out of the work activities, team building activities. At the end of the day, we are humans and we work toward what we think is correct and right to support the organization and the team that we are working with. So definitely an engagement is a key answer to that question.
So the communication and engagement. Tahir, would you like to add to that?
When I saw the question, I smiled, just like Nasser and Maram were saying. This is the way I think about it, not just between production and maintenance, but in general between different functional teams. And I'll tell you, there has been lots of ways of helping to improve that further. And I'll talk about two in particular. One is a change acceleration process. And the change acceleration process basically ensuring that the team has that shared need. Reality is all the teams try to get to a similar goal, but maybe in different direction. But ensuring that we have that shared need and shaping the vision and ensuring that getting the buy-in, and that's where basically getting us from where we are from current state to middle state, and then making it last and monitoring the progress, which basically take us to the improved or the future state. But I also wanted to talk about something that there are 5 areas to help improve that any team or teams of teams are truly functional, and starts with trust. We talked about engagement and communication, but ensuring that there is a trust between the different teams, because reality is we all want to be successful, and we know that we are only successful if the other teams are successful. And when trust is a foundation and it's there, then it's okay to have healthy conflict. And as a result of that healthy conflict, ending by having that debate, and with that debate comes commitment, and basically ensuring that we focus on clarity and closure. And as a result of that, ending by having accountability, and basically ending by having no issues of confronting difficult issues. And as a result of that, the ultimate goal is to have the results and deliver to all of our customers. So the combination of both, I think, helps with that.
Absolutely. It's communication, engagement, and trust. And I like how you flip that friction word into healthy conflict or healthy engagement. All right, we do have, so Teofilo Sagan said, displaying diversity in our industry is about embracing the differences between the different employees and nationalities. The good thing about it is that different people of different backgrounds are brought together in solid organization with organizational culture. That's absolutely true. Abdul Basil said, I appreciate your responses to all the panelists. He will take the engagement between the cross-functional team. So it's healthy engagement between them. So he'd like to thank you. We do have one question from Amro Subeh, and I think with this question, it will be a beautiful ending to our panel discussion. And I'd like to ask that question to all of our three panelists. And it says, from your experience in diversity and inclusion, what is the one thing that you would like passed to the next generation? Because as you indicate, culture will take time to change. So what is that one thing that you would like to pass on to your children or the next generation? Would like to start with you, Maram.
I did not think that much about it, but I would say live by an example, leave a good legacy, a good reputation of you being there to serve others. You are there to help others, facilitate how they can do their work, facilitate how they can be a good leaders, good professionals, good members in the community. So I would say live a good legacy for your children and for others to look up to you or to your legacy.
Mm-hmm. So yes, keep a legacy. Thank you, Maram. Nasser, what are your thoughts on it? What is the one thing that you would like to pass on to your children and next generation?
Wow, this is a very, very interesting question. No, but for me, I think it will be a safe place where everybody is including. Everybody can bring something. Everybody is normal. It's okay. There is no differences the way we look, the way we're coming from, our religion, wherever we're coming from. That all of us, we are in this world, that we can do something, to help each other. So a safe place where everybody have a talent to bring and creativity to the world. Thank you.
Thank you. So yes, it is being open to that diversity, being open. We live in one world and we all have different abilities and capabilities, and it's up to us to be open to that. Tahir, what is the one thing that you would like to pass on to the next generation?
It's a combo of few things. So respect, equality, and truly be yourself and allow others to truly be themselves. In addition to what Maram and Nasser said, I think the combination of all of that helps create and improve that culture. And as we pass that to the next generations, hoping that will help even strengthen that diversity and inclusion culture everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yes. So from our panel, and we are running, so we're about to end. Time is running out. The same time flies when you are having fun. And I think this is very true with our panel here tonight. There is a common theme that we have heard over the past hour. And I think the first one is communication, having engagement, dialogue between the employers. And also that change comes from the top management, and being role models to the next generation is what it counts. So it is about communication, engagement, and management. Before we end, I would like to ask our panelists if they have any final word that they would like to share with us. Starting with you, Maram.
I really do want to thank Nasser and Tahir for being those gentlemen supporting the diversity and inclusion, and the reason for that they won the Women Industry of the Women Award of Empowerment. And I really do want to thank all the gentlemen within our industry and my field and within the home, my father, my brother. We are here in life supported and we need to work together. We are looking to have equality, not to be compared to each other. So thank you for all of your hard work, and thank you so much, Fatma, for having this amazing, being an amazing moderator.
Thank you very much, Maram. And I would like to reiterate, and I think the new generations call it retweet what you just said. As females, we do rely on our male counterparts because they do open up doors and opportunities for us. So thank you, Maram. Nasser, do you have any final words?
No, I mean, Maram she said all, and I would like to thank my colleagues here, Tahir and Maram. Initially when this was booked at 8:30 Muscat time, I thought, wow, will I spend an hour from 8:30 to 9:30, after a long day at work. But I think I have learned a lot today. I really thank the question from the audience, the response I heard from Tahir and Maram. So for me, it was really fulfilling this 1 hour, great 1 hour spent in learning and so on. And I'm sure I'm going to take some of this learning back to my workplace and so on. So thank you. And thank you, Fatma, for doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nasser. Indeed, it was an hour of learning for all of us. Tahir, do you have any final words?
And in turn, I'll take the opportunity to thank Maram and Nasser. I think this particular topic is something that we need to continue to talk about. It's not going to change by itself. The fact that we're discussing it, the fact that we're communicating about it, is something that we need to continue to do. Persistence, consistent, and continue to improve that. Because if we all believe that we need to improve, then we need to do something about it. And basically having an opportunity like this, a webinar like this, and I really wanted to thank GSMR, thank Ayn for doing this. And of course, Fatima, I'll tell you, thank you very much for moderating this. This has been a great hour so far. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Tahir. And thank you to Maram and Nasser, to our esteemed panelists, and again to you, Ayn, for bringing this together. It has been an absolute pleasure moderating this session. Now I would like to hand it back to you, Ayn.
Thank you very much, Fatima, all our panelists, and the wonderful audience. You have been very marvelous tonight. What an
I think,
We lost
Ayn, we
you.
have lost your voice.
Thank you, Fatima. Thank you, Tahir. Thank you, Nasser. Thank you, Maram. To the wonderful audience who was here, we indeed appreciate you very much. And this is our last webinar before Ramadan. And it was an exciting evening. We hope that you have learned a lot from this webinar. And if you are not yet a member of GSMR, please don't hesitate to join us and invest in your professional growth. Follow us on social media at GSMR Society. And before we end, I will shift the camera settings so that it will be allowed for attendees. So you can open your cameras and we will take one group photo of everybody.